Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for Monday, the 12th of October. All right, coming through the pretty much through the end of the Asian session, not a lot of activity. Just coming back to last Friday's close in North America, slight risk-on sentiment. Now, there's been a few changes, obviously, with the Donald. He's coming out saying he's immune to coronavirus and a few other things. But you sort of want to nail it down to what's happening that we can actually understand, right, and actually see. So just looking at the correlation matrix, there is a bit of a connection with some of the majors with the equity indices, I should say. It's been one of those days. Now I'll show you the currencies here in a moment. Well, there's a bit of news out, obviously, which may impact. It's not like fresh, which may impact dollar CAD. You've got the Norway oil strike ends after wage agreement. That should take a little bit of pressure off the price of oil, so maybe see dollar CAD rally a touch. But what we're looking at is last week was a really good sort of lesson for those who don't understand geopolitical markets, where we saw the dollar fall, then rally, and now it's sort of just taken a bit more of a tumble, right? So there's question marks over the US stimulus package. That's been on again, off again, on again, off again. The market will become really desensitized to that news if that continues. So we'll have to see how that goes. And the Chinese central bank, actually, let me just bring you back over to the next sort of batch of news that was sort of going around. PBOC, the People's Bank of China, sort of lowered the forward reserve requirements for the banks. Okay, it's it's a little bit of devaluing sort of going on there, so to speak. So I don't know what's where that sort of puts things. They're sort of saying it puts a bit of pressure on the Aussie and Kiwi on the downside, but I don't see it, right? It's not. We're not seeing clear moves from the geopolitical news on the currency pairs. You've got this move down here in the dollar index. Now, if I bring you across to the major currency pairs, right, we closed the week on a pretty strong note for the Aussie. You can see Euro sort of breaking high there, as did Sterling, particularly above 130, the figure, which was, I was eyeballing that as a good level for where stop losses would be. Kiwi has been the one real kick in the teeth trade, right? So we had the RBNZ come out and say that we're looking at implementing negative rates or actively getting that going. Market gets short for good reason. And this is where you got to understand the hierarchy of the currencies, right? The Kiwi is right down the pecking order. Whatever happens in the US during these geopolitical events overrides a lot of the other currencies, and it definitely overrides the Kiwi. Market got short for great reasons, me included. You can see how it sort of stalled there at 66, the figure, but once that blew through, we've seen all the stops triggered, and people will be really disappointed and not necessarily scratching their head, but really disappointed with the outcome there. Dollar yen just tweaking to the downside, but nothing to write home about. We've seen that rally here, say in oil, right, from $36 up to sort of like 41. Now, dollar CAD did join in here. That the pressure's now off. I can just get my pen up here. The pressure's now off oil. You can see the green bars here. Now that's oil falling. So you got to think dollar CAD is got to sort of bang back into the range, sort of rally from here. It looks like a pretty nice setup as we lead into Monday's trading. Now, what have we got to look forward to? Well, this week, I think, is going to be really disjointed. Obviously, for traders, you've got a US and Canadian holiday today. I think it's Columbus Day in the US. So the markets aren't going to really start until Tuesday in North America, right? If you come down here and look at the Daily Market Insight page, the market direction, well, you know what? We're getting the short-term direction is lighting up like a Christmas tree. But what we're not getting is the follow through in some of these pairs. There are a couple like dollar CAD, which I sort of think actually could potentially go up. Dollar Swiss, Euro, Sterling, they're all sort of starting to get lined up, right? So you would be starting to look very closely at these pairs in particular for trading opportunities. Outside of that, you're probably just waiting to see how things line up. So don't forget, Monday, well, Tuesday is going to be the real Monday. And that's what happens when there is a North American US holiday, I should say. In actual fact, it's pretty much the whole of North America on holidays. So you got a couple of things coming out. Just keep an eye on sterling. We've got the Bank of England Governor Bailey speaking. That's probably the highlight for the macros. Are the macros coming into play? Well, I'll tell you what, some of them are, mainly the US ones, right? If you look at the macros, to me, still the Kiwi is like, if they're still going to negative rates, that's still lingering. Of course, the currency is like 100 points higher, but that's still in the backdrop, in the vault, waiting for that next bit of Kiwi news. But so what do we got? Well, start trading for the week. It's a little bit disjointed. There are a few pairs which have clear direction, but let me just come back to those charts. But the main thing is understand last week, and this is where you get your confidence from, is last week was really disjointed. I wouldn't be surprised if these initial moves where we closed Friday, we see these corrected as we go into the week. And don't forget, the news services aren't your friend. When there's opinion pieces, right? I don't want opinions. I want to know what the facts are, because what they can do is they can come out and say there's no stimulus, there's stimulus, to, for, and against, etc. It just confuses the market, right? So traders at all the banks and institutions will switch off, and they'll wait for the real news that's going to come out. And that's pretty much it, guys. It's going to be a slow start to the week. I'm sure it'll heat up once we get through to Tuesday in North America. For the moment, expect probably quiet markets, and just I think these currencies might dribble back into the range. All right, guys, have a good trade week. Cheerio.